My name is Naomi. I was born in Minneapolis. My mom is from St. Louis Park. My dad is from Rishon LeZion. She met a soldier. They moved to Israel when I was a baby, and I grew up in Israel my whole life. In Jerusalem. Kibbutz was never part of my upbringing, but it was always part of my dream. And when I met my husband who grew up in a different kibbutz, and we got married and we had our first child, we said kibbutz is the only way to go. And when we said kibbutz, we really meant community. And through happenstance of life, we got to Nahal Oz in 2017. I don't know if I can go back to my home. Wow. That's just the honest reality of life right now. My home is 1 year old. I built it. We moved in New Year's 2022. If any of you have built a new home, you know how much time and energy and money and just focus goes on that. I don't know if that home is where I'm going to continue my life. And that was supposed to be a forever home. Long-lasting trauma is very, very real. And there's no end point because we don't know. Like I said, we are refugees in our own country, and we don't know when this war ends. And I keep saying, I'll stay. I'm right now staying in a 25 square meter room with my husband and 3 children. I will stay in there. I don't care right now. Bring back the hostages. Don't care about me. Don't worry about me. I'm fine. Bring those people back home. My 3 boys are 7, 6, and 2. And their room is the safe room, is the mamad. When you live on a kibbutz that emphasizes community, what you do, what you say, where you volunteer, how involved you are, matters. You are part of something. And that continues to give my life a lot of meaning, which is why I chose to live there. We woke up at 6:29 or 6:25 or whenever it started to the loudest noise you've ever heard. Think of a thunderstorm and think of that loud noise. Multiply that noise by 1,000 and just make it nonstop for 10 minutes. That's what that initial attack was. That is something that's never happened before. And I now live in a new neighborhood on the kibbutz that's further out from the main sirens. So I didn't even hear Tzeva Adom. I just had a loud boom to literally make me jump out of my bed like it was a trampoline. And we ran into the safe room. My kids miraculously were still asleep. And we stood there in the dark, closing the window, closing the door, and we're like, what the fuck, what the fuck, what the fuck? It's not ending, it's not ending, it's not ending. And 10 minutes is a really long time. A really long time. Finally it ended and then it was dead quiet. And we said, okay, let's leave the room for a second. Let's go get our phones, go get some water, let's go to the bathroom. Again, this is 6:40 something in the morning. And I said, I need to get some fresh air. I'm gonna open the door to the house. To my right, I see the fields. And because I'm 200 meters from the back gate of the kibbutz, you guys that were there, you get, it's really close. And I saw cars driving in the fields towards the Iron Dome base. I was like, and I didn't recognize the cars. And I was like, I told my husband, I was like, there are weird cars outside and they're driving. When the attack like this happens, you don't see anyone out because everyone ran to safety. And all of a sudden I see 4 or 5 cars out there. And then I look to my left and I see 2 neighbors of mine outside. One of them was Ilan, the head of our security system, security of our kibbutz, who unfortunately was killed very early that morning. And I saw my other next door neighbor who lives right behind me. And then there was a message saying, you know, we're in a complex situation, lock the doors to your house, get into your mamad, and don't get out. And my husband was already in there with some water, and I ran back out, locked the door to the front, locked the door to the back, and ran back into the safe room. And that was about 7:10. 5 or 10 minutes later, power went out, and it didn't come back on for 12 hours. Minutes after we had gone into that room, we started hearing gunfire, like non-stop gunfire. Later I found out that my neighbor who I saw men in IDF uniforms and a white bandana and a head camera come to my door. So I was the first house they came to. By luck or miracle or God or I don't know, they shot at our door and one of the bullets lodged into the lock and permanently locked the door. They couldn't break it.
Oh.
So they broke into the house next to me, behind me, and we're a duplex, so they broke into the house that's right next to me. Hours went by and WhatsApp groups just firing off. They're here. Please come and help. They're here. Where's the army? They broke in. Someone was shot. I see them. Where's everybody? Please come and help. And to protect my own sanity and to protect my ability to mother, I blocked most of that out. I normalized it. I didn't allow myself to really feel what was happening. Even though my neighbor, who I share a wall with, said on a WhatsApp group, they're here, they're in my house. Please come and help. Where is everyone? And I heard. And we heard it all. We heard the grenades and the RPGs and the nonstop gunfire and the Arabic. We heard it all. And we're in the dark. And there's nothing we can do. And we didn't know that you even had to hold the door down. Like, we just sat there. We sat there for what was eventually 19 hours. We took a box that was for toy blocks, and that was our bathroom. So the room was really smelly. My youngest is not potty trained, and I had no diapers. So everything smelled of urine and feces. And there wasn't a lot of air in the room. And that's what we kind of focused on. We focused on how hard it was to just like, it's dark, it's so dark, and it's stinky, and it's hot, and we've been in here for hours, and first of all, we didn't know. We had no electricity. We had no cell service in the room, or Wi-Fi. Cell service dropped at noon, and then we couldn't communicate with the outside world anyways. We didn't have we had a charger, but we didn't have electricity to charge our phones. Our phones were used for only making a flashlight so that the room wouldn't be totally, totally black. And people ask me, what'd you do and how'd you survive? I was like, I don't fucking know. Sorry for cursing. Bye. My kids all kind of checked out and fell asleep. 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. I checked out and fell asleep for 2 hours. I now know that it's not that I just checked out and fell asleep. There wasn't a lot of oxygen in the room. So we kind of dozed off / lost consciousness, some variation of that. Power came back on at about 6:45 in the evening, followed by Wi-Fi, and then we could let our families know that we are alive and still here. Power came back on, and that was beautiful because we could turn on the light, and we can turn on the AC, and we can turn on Netflix, and we could charge our phones, and that's where I felt like I could stay here for another 24 hours. I just like the way we knew it was IDF and not Hamas is because they came, because I already saw on the WhatsApp groups families that were already bussed out, and I heard my neighbor saying our names and saying, it's me, it's Tzachi, I'm here with Givati, come on out, it's okay. And we had the kids were asleep by then, of course. It was 1 o'clock in the morning. They all woke up. They were very, very scared to suddenly see big soldiers with like the full gear, helmet, vest, guns, everything. And I just kept saying, it's okay, they're here, we're getting out. They took us out, and the front door, of course, didn't open because it was currently locked, so we left from the back door from the bathroom, and there was like just soldiers at like every couple of meters all the way to the parking lot. I didn't know this at the time, but there were like 20 to 30 bodies of Hamas right behind our house from intense fighting all day long. And it's very weird to, as hard as it was to be in that room, to suddenly leave that room and see the outside world. Like, what the fuck happened here? And it's a war zone. It is a full-on war zone. There are fires. Both of our cars were torched. Fires everywhere. Soldiers, jeeps, tanks in a little kibbutz. It's a very surreal. 2 o'clock in the morning. It's dark. It was very weird. And then they took us to a place in the kibbutz, like a big garage where they brought every family that they rescued, so that when there were enough people, they would put us on a bus and leave. And all of a sudden I see a family with a 2-month-old. I was like, fuck, they had to do this all day. And then another family with a child with special needs. Damn it, they had to do this all day. And then an 89-year-old woman. I was like, how did she pee? How'd you guys do all this, all day? And they put us on a bus and we drove out of there, and we got to an army base about 20 minutes south of us, and an officer came on the bus, and he was like, hi, my name is, I wish I remembered, but I don't. I'm from Givati, and you're safe. And that was the first time I cried. And there was a social worker on that base at 3 o'clock in the morning, and this social worker comes up to me and sits next to me and takes my hand. She's like, what do you need? I said, I need to know I can go back home. Mm-hmm. And to be able to have the foresight to see that I'm not going to be able to go back home in a really long time, for a really long time. I haven't been back. It's really hard. My husband goes back 2, 3, 4 times a week to work in the banana fields. And he's told me he'll never work with men from Gaza again. That trust is gone. That relationship is shattered. They were not involved. They were not informants, and because the Bedouin contractor that was in charge of them that morning took them to the police station, and they were incarcerated for some time, and they were cleared of anything. But we don't know who built our homes. We don't know who built the landscaping, but they knew where the head of security lived, and they knew where the armory was. And the crisis of faith is real. Existential crisis is a real term right now. We don't have a lot of words to describe what we're going through and how we're feeling, because we use them all up to describe an exam and traffic and a bad meal and a show. It was hell, it was terrible, it was catastrophe. So you had no words left to describe real hell and real catastrophes and real devastation.